Hi, here we are talking about the next 10 years of my life. We are at the 20 to 30 years of it. The keyword that I want to use for this segment that when you all listen, right, is a lot of transition, a lot of breakthrough, also a lot of failures and getting in. The first time me going to America, I really wanted to study art and I didn't know how. I didn't know how to begin. So when I was enrolled into a design college, all they talk about is this design, which is true. But I really want to find out where was the origin of design from. And I think art encompasses a bit more. And I want to really go to the source, not knowing where America is or how big is it or what a continent, four season country. So when I first touched down in America, it was a place of wonder. It was so cold. It was in December, and I was like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. But it's good. They laugh it off as a baptism of fire instead of snow. So there's just a lot of things going on, adjusting to the culture, getting used to the education system, the food, the weather, the temperament, the people. It's good. I think it really sharpens the focus on what I really want to do. Everything else becomes secondary. It wasn't easy. My mom only provided a one semester fees and one way ticket, and I got to make it on my own. So it's like keeping the grades up and also working four jobs just to sustain whatever that I was doing and not have to refer to home all the time. So I was in the States, so there was a lot of learning curve. At the same time, also soaking in a lot of what's happening in my life. I was quite detached. I think I was all there. No distraction. It was fully focused on art and learning about what art is all about. Until when I decided to make the trip back. I mean, it's a lot of beautiful things that happen in the States. I could do a whole episode on that, but we're not going to be focused on that. So I got my education, I got what I need, I'm equipped. So I'm all geared about coming back to Malaysia and making a name for myself. And boy, was I in for a big shock. I was 18 and 19, I think going back in the States and spending about almost 4 and 5 years there. So when I got back here, I was like 23, 22 years old. It was a great time. It was a great time to get my first job. It was a great time to establish myself. So with that mentality and that thinking, right, I rode on a bike. I didn't rent a bike, actually I flew home. Then I thought everything is going to be hunky-dory. I got my degree. I was valedictorian. I was cum laude. I was doing so well. I was selling my work. I thought, hey, how difficult could Malaysia or Kuala Lumpur be? Little did I know, it was a total reverse culture shock. Why did I say it was a reverse culture shock? First, I was so acclimatized to the four season. I'm coming back. It was just so weird. I lost a lot of my friends. Good one stayed behind. Things was just again, I think the transition was the keyword. So coming back, so I was thinking, okay, where should I begin? I was really eager, people. I was really decided to carve my name in the annal of art history and Malaysian art history. I was so much looking forward to starting my career. So I think I took the plane back. I think the next day, I think I walked to look for my first job because I know I can't rely on my parents. Then I got my first job. My first job was literally a walk away from home. I was doing my first teaching job in this place that is very near Oakland Road. So I know that when you have a job to supplement, I've always been doing this. Then I kind of know that I don't need to rely on anything. I'm financially stable. I could do the work that I need to do. So having a job really helps. It really helps you stay focused on whatever you want to do in your art. Because that's all your business and you're master of your own domain. So after getting a job, my next thing is to get gallery representation. So I walked around, I scouted around. There wasn't many galleries back then. There's a lot of good artists. I think there's a lot of things I want to do. So the gallery that actually took me in was in Institution. It gave me my first solo show. Okay, let's start with getting my first solo show. I was really gearing. I was doing something so avant-garde that I thought haven't been done in Malaysia. And little did I know I was in for a big surprise. I think not so much of the Malaysian scene wasn't ready for me. I think I wasn't ready for Malaysia. I thought I had all these little things running in my mind, how good it's gonna be. I didn't sell a single piece. I didn't make a dent I was interviewed by Jay Anand, who was really back then an art journalist. Everything was good. He loved the show, so I thought, hey, I'm finally getting the recognition that I need. And but in retrospect, I think back, right, that first big slap on my face, that first big failure, actually sets everything off. Sets everything on my art trajectory. And I'm glad I got the failure right off the bat. And I'm glad I didn't sell the show. I didn't sell anything. I sold nothing. That kind of set the course of how I would handle, how I would navigate my art career. So at the end of the day, I realized that how are you going to manage expectations, manage ego? I didn't know how to. I was young, I was brash. There's just a lot of things going on. As I see, the keyword seems to be transition. You're transitioning this. How do you call a certain artist? You're getting a job. You're balancing your act. You want to paint. You want to do work. You want to work, and you want to be the son that wasn't at home for the last 5 years. So I think a lot of things was going on, and that made me a bit more resilient towards what's going to happen. It took me a while to get down from the high horse and really look straight and walk the narrow path that I set myself in. So art, for me, that time was full of failures, full of expectations, but it's also filled with a lot of fulfillment, a lot of things that I could work it out on myself and not be faced by commercial success or any success at all. At the end of the day, it has always been the art that matters. So when I finally got my first real gallery representation, I was doing well, I think, in terms of work. But I really felt that it's not the right one for me. A couple of quick things why I didn't feel that it was the right one. First, it felt very one-sided, like I'm in a one-sided affair. Like I'm putting everything in, and that person just want to sell your work, and that was good initially on a very short-term basis. But long-term, I didn't feel any feedback. I didn't feel like was I doing good, was I doing well. I was just doing. So I know that was not the right fit, and I think time would come for me to change, for me to go. I'm one of those artists that if everything is well, I would not jump ship. I would stay the course. But when things become really toxic, when things become really bad, and I force myself, like, you got to make a move, you got to get out of this comfort zone. So having first taste of the gallery, the art scene, it taught me a lot about getting representation, having the right people to back you up. I went for a few more galleries before settling on one. And it made me realize that good things comes to those that wait. I've been with this gallery ever since. I think gallery representation is also about relationship. When you find someone that understands you, when you find something that can represent your art the best possibly way, and they having skin in the game and they believe as passionately as you towards your own art, that's when you know it's beyond business. And what I learned in those years is not so much about having a business relation, but having a good and healthy relationship. They'll be there when you're down, they'll be there when you're up, right? They'll go through the journey with you. And ever since then, I've been with this gallery all the way till now. For getting a right gallery, right fit, I think people just need to try it on. Never know how it works. And I think you also got to invest your time, your effort into making things work. No gallery, no artist is perfect for each other. But willing to build upon something wonderful, willing to go through the full 9 yards, willing to sacrifice your time and your relationship, anything else. And most importantly, your art should always come first. If anything that gets in the way of that, that is not a good fit. So to cap off all the highlight when I was 20, 30 and 30 is going to the States, coming back, getting a job, balancing life, looking for a good fit for gallery representation. So I think that really built to who I am today. And having all the failures, a huge slap on my face of not selling a single piece of work when everyone tells you that the work is good. So how do you validate yourself, or how do you bounce back from that? I think it's really important, and that set the course for the next 10 years in my life.